Platchums! So, boosting. This is something that trophy hunters the world over are all too familiar with, because it's safe to say, if you are like me and Dan here, if you enjoy hunting trophies, you're gonna have to do it at some point, given the state of some multiplayer trophy lists. Yeah, we've all been there. So, Dan, recently, the discussion of boosting has come up again after Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout finally had a bit of an exploit exposed in terms of its now infamous Infallible trophy. I think that's the name of it, isn't it? For winning five games in a row. So this got me thinking again, as someone who's been trophy hunting for 13 years at this point, Jesus Christ, I've had to boost a fair share of games. And what would be your stance on boosting in order to get a trophy? Like, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I'm all too familiar with the current issue because I'm one of the people who never got the Plat back when I started playing the game, and I was just 2 trophies away from it, and I stopped playing because the 2 trophies were the squad trophy, where I needed to win with the squad because I never played with anyone. I just always played solo, and the other one, of course, being Infallible. And I think I've said it before on the channel, I got to 3 wins twice on my own, and of course the trophies for 5. So I wasn't even that close. But the trophy itself really didn't sit well with me when it first came out. I really didn't like the trophy.
It's the worst kind of trophy.
I adored the game.
It's the worst kind of trophy. Yeah. Like, just before I continue, it's like in a game like Fall Guys, you know, in like a multiplayer game where there's maybe like 10, 15, even 30 players, you know, to win is, you know, there's an awful lot of luck and skill needed. But to win 5 in a row in a game that has, 100 plus people in a lobby? How many people what's the max capacity for a lobby in Fall Guys?
60.
60, okay, well, I overstated it. But still, you have a 1 in 60 chance.
It feels like there's hundreds.
It feels like there's hundreds. Like, I only played a little bit of it. I never played on my main account. But, yeah, so you, like, straight away, it's like, okay, a 1 in 60 shot. I mean, like, those odds, so to, like, win is a feat in and of itself, but then to win 5 in a row, like,
and it's not even like 5 games, it's 5 full games. So you need to go through, you know, there's potentially like up to 8 rounds in a game. So like, you know, I think I'm relatively good at Fall Guys. Like, I got my 20 wins
brag.
Probably within the first week, you know. So I was pretty okay at Fall Guys. But this trophy to me, you know, and I know there's plenty of people out there who are going to say, oh no, it is skill. There's you know, you can get it if you're skilled. Like, maybe you can, but to me, just the amount of luck involved there, because there's some games there that are just 100% luck some of the time. Like, there's sometimes if you're playing DoorDash and you take the wrong door, you're just gonna lose. There's no two ways about it.
Or even the team-based ones where it's not even your skill level. It's like you're depending on other people as well.
Yeah, now they made that a little bit better. They added in like extra things, and they like removed some of the team games, and then they added in squad modes. So they did try to make it like a little bit more balanced to get the trophy, but there was actually like a huge period of like a few months there as well, kind of towards the end of last year and the start of this year, where nobody was able to unlock the trophy. It was completely glitched. But
can you imagine getting 5 wins in a row and that trophy doesn't pop? That's like,
oh yeah, plenty of people have posted that. Which I think was there was a bit of a scandal before about where people were emailing the devs saying it didn't unlock, and then they got it auto popped for them.
See, that's
by
just
the devs.
Genius. That is just genius.
That was but anyway, the trophy never sat well with me because of the amount of luck involved. So when I'd be pretty regularly, you know, anytime I went on PSN profiles, I'd scan, you know, what the the new posts are, see what was kind of gaining traction.
If there's
And
anyone
if there was
decided
anything
to
ever on
like
Fall Guys,
action.
yeah. I'd always be looking out to see did anyone ever like any action on the Fall Guys scene. And then lo and behold, last week, of course,
Oh, the gates blew open. The gates blew open.
They really did, yeah. And people were so basically, just for anyone who doesn't know, they introduced like a custom games thing, and trophies were completely disabled within it. But the exploit is that if you win 5 games in a row and then turn off your game, then load back in the game, it will think that you won 5 real games, even though they were 5 custom games. So then the trophy pops as soon as you open up your game again. So anyway, everyone was, clamoring to get this trophy as soon as possible because they were afraid it was going to be, ninja hotfixed.
Yeah, patched out.
It hasn't still to this point. As we are recording, it's still available to get, and PSN Profiles is still full of Fall Guys.
I've never seen so many
sessions.
boosting sessions that have been organized. It's like literally every hour for like.
Yeah, and the trophy's gone from a sub 2% ultra rare to almost like nearly 4%.
Is that on the PSN Profile side or the
PSN Profiles?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, PSN Profiles. Yeah, so it's nearly up at the kind of 4% mark at this point, 3.5 or something. So it's it's safe to say that the damage has been done. Now the platinum rarity still hasn't gone up too much because there still is quite a lot to do in the game. You still need to reach max rank. You still need to reach you still need to
win 20 matches
wins.
And like you said that those 5 wins don't count towards that 20 win trophy.
Yeah, because they're custom games. You still need to do all the other normal requirements.
It's enough to trick the trophy into popping, but not enough to trick the stats into registering it as 5 like official wins.
Exactly.
Yeah, so as someone who got that trophy that way, like, do you feel any...
I feel great.
Yeah.
I feel great. Yeah. No, in this instance, I feel really good because I feel like it was just because, of course, before the game came out, they were egging the trophy community on Mediatonic or Mediatronic, I can't remember.
Mediatronic,
but they were
Devolver
saying
Digital or like the publishers.
And they were saying that that they were no one was ever going to unlock the trophy, and that was the part that always irked me.
Yeah.
So to get it was a real finally
you poke the bear, you get the claws, like.
Yeah. So in this instance regarding boosting, I thought, hooray, fair game. I was waiting for the moment to pounce for this one, to be honest.
And I thought it was beautiful to watch everyone come together and help each other. And is that not what the world needs? Like people just forgetting their differences and just one solitary goal and working as a collective towards that goal. It was even though I didn't partake, just to sit back and watch and just go, yeah, that's right, guys. You show them.
I was playing with a guy, he had like 20,000 plats. He was like a serious trophy hunter.
Safe to say,
yeah. And he told me it was his first trophy of the game.
Go big or go home,
So I think in this situation the boosting thing is very different because it was really like a free for all. I think it's a little bit different than the kind of more standard boosting. When I think of maybe a more standard game, a game we've talked about in the past is Tomb Raider. That was the reimagining of the Tomb Raider series with that horrible multiplayer mode. That's a game I definitely boosted.
Yeah, you see, my thing just with boosting is I think it's just not as simple as you're taking the easy way out or whatever. I think there's like a myriad of reasons that leads. I always ask, okay, why does a game necessitate boosting, or why does it make people feel like they need to boost it? So like in regards to Tomb Raider, for me that was just a lazy, uninspired, tacked on multiplayer mode that was dead from the onset because it was so uninspired and mundane that it just didn't have the player base. And when you're looking at a trophy list that has a level 50 requirement, challenges, all this stuff, and I think I can't really remember it was 2014 when it boosted it, but I remember level 50 was a hell of a grind. And it's kind of like, well, you put these requirements in the trophy list. I like completing games that I love to 100%, and I did enjoy the single player of Tomb Raider. I wouldn't
game.
Call it the best thing ever. Uncharted did what it tried to do a lot better. But I thought it was a
good game.
It was a very good game, but the multiplayer mode was just absolutely god awful, and it's just like just tacked on competitive multiplayer when I feel like co-op would have worked a lot better if they were going to do any kind of multiplayer mode, and it was just have it. And it's like, well, if the servers are dead, if it's not a great game or mode to begin with, I'm going to want to 100% the game because I do like the game overall, but I'm not going to spend 500-600 hours trying to find a match naturally or try to fulfill some of the requirements when I know that, okay, if I dedicate 15 hours boosting where you can talk to someone, get a boosting partner, have a bit of a laugh, and just work towards these trophies. And you see, the thing is, it's like that still requires a bit of determination that I think sometimes only those elite trophy hunters have, or people that are about trophies. That it's like, in spite of the difficulties put up by a shit multiplayer mode or ridiculous like trophy requirements, they have the patience and determination to boost in spite of that. Now, I don't think if you're coming out from that perspective that it like devalues the platinum overall, because say something like Far Cry 2, which I boosted as well, it's like, what is worse? Someone spending 100 hours boosting that, or someone spending 4,000 trying to unlock it naturally?
Yeah. And there are a few people, like, there's always a few people who just religiously play these games randomly.
Yeah.
There's always like 5 people online, and you're always like, who are these people?
And it's like Far Cry 2 Legend 69 or something, and you're like, oh no, not him. But like,
you could never even beat these guys if you tried to play normally.
Yeah, well, like that just ties back into Fall Guys, where yes, the platinum is easier, but it's not easy because there's still a large amount of other trophies on the list that require like skill and a lot of time, so. And Fall Guys as well, it's got that syndrome, as you just mentioned, where like the elite players. Fall Guys, I think, is kind of like the player base. It's still huge, but I feel like, with each passing week, the kind of casual people start to drop away. So what happens with like game servers, when you go 2-3 years into a game's lifespan, the main people that are playing it are like obsessed about it. Say like Ghost of Tsushima, when we were doing Legends mode, it was just someone who'd done the raid like 500 times, and it was our first time doing it. It's like, it just means that it becomes harder and harder over time to gain naturally, because the people have been playing it for longer and they're more skilled, and there's a smaller base of core players. So I think if there was a window that was open for a while to escape a burning house, you're going to go out the window and get the trophy. Yeah. So like what games have you boosted from memory?
I think the one that always sticks out to me, I think the first game I ever boosted was Battlefield Bad Company 2, where I had to get these demolition kills, and there was just, I think I played probably 150 hours of the game, but I only got like 3 demolition kills, and I needed 30 for the platinum, so I boosted that. And I remember like it was such a big deal because you needed to get like a boosting lobby of the whole game, for the map, so like 2 full teams that were coordinating, and then everyone took their turns to blowing up the buildings or whatever. So it was like really, really, it would nearly put you off boosting how much logistics were involved there. Other games I've boosted, like, to be honest, because, like, say me and you play games quite differently, at least from the trophy perspective, because you are willing to boost these games like Far Cry and GTA 4 and Red Faction, and these are games that, like, I've played, but I won't have gotten to platinum. So there's probably less instances where I've spent, like, dedicated time boosting, but I have self boosted a few games, like Mountain Blade Warband, for example. Recently, I self boosted. I got two PS4s and two copies of the game and boosted myself.
Yeah.
So it was just me running into me, stabbing me, and then getting it. Because I don't know. The idea of doing that sounded better than getting someone random to try and do it with.
Yeah, and also you don't need to share the kills then. It's just
Exactly, yeah. It's just a one-way street.
Yeah, like when
I
like I haven't
I
boosted
don't
that
boost too often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the main ones to stick out to me were you see with GTA 4, I wouldn't necessarily call that boosting unless you're doing the Alveda thing Petrovich. I self boosted that. Friend Liam brought over his PS3 and he just left it on, so he called over and I was just like chilling with him and like I was just like doing the races. But the main gameplay was just playing bomb the base, I think, or High Man's Noose, the mission over and over again. So I wouldn't necessarily say that was boosting, it was literally just repetition of the same mission over and over and over and over again. Far Cry 2, of course, Resident Evil 5 and 6, but that's akin to Tomb Raider, where the servers were dead.
There's no option then.
Yeah, there is no option, and I think it wasn't too much of a time sink to do it, and like my main point with this with boosting, like and I boosted Max Payne 3 as well actually. So I'd say across my list of 150 games, I would say I've boosted maybe 8 or 9 of them. I think Bioshock 2 was another one where just hacking a turn like over and over and over and over again. But the thing was, the lobby was packed with other players who were doing the exact same thing. I've never gone in and kind of into a normal multiplayer match and torpedoed people who were just playing it, just naturally playing it. So like, that's the other thing. I don't think it like as long as it's not harming people who are just playing the game for fun. I don't see anything wrong with a bunch of people who are willing to put the time and like patience, as you said, some like boosting requirements that harbors back to what like these trophy requirements were obviously ridiculous to begin with. If you're boosting it, you need like a solid plan and teamwork in order to achieve it. So if it's even difficult to boost it, what the hell is it like to try to get it naturally? And then that kind of ties me back to the second point that I said by boosting. The first one going, well, it could just be a shit uninspired mode. But two, I mean, the developers can sometimes just throw in a complete wild card into a trophy list. As you said, like those demolition kills were very difficult to get naturally in Bad Company 2. But say like in Max Payne 3, the DLC, it just has some like really specific trophies that like, is it worse to go into a lobby for 5 minutes and get that trophy, or is it worse to go in, torpedo your team, try to get that naturally because you're trying to get a really specific kill, so you're essentially just waiting and kind of camping, just waiting for an opportunity to get a kill? I actually think boosting is the less of the evils in that regard, where it's like you're just sticking within your trophy hunting box and it's not going back and forth and ruining other people's enjoyment of the games. And as I said, look, boosting does in a way make things easier, but I mean, there's a reason the Far Cry 2 is still an ultra rare. There's a reason, the Resident Evil 5 and 6 trophies are, rare, super rare. It's because it's like, look, you're either willing to put the time in or you're not. So if it was that easy and if it was that simple just to go on a boost and get the trophies, all these trophies would be common, particularly within PSN profiles where it's predominantly trophy hunters. So the fact that it's still such a small number, but it is boostable, just shows that, look, it's like you're either willing to put in the time or dedication. Now, like, I'm not going to go and throw a parade for myself because I got like a trophy by boosting and like 3D print the trophy and go like I'm class. But like I enjoy getting, as I said, the 100% in the games I really, really like. And unfortunately, it just so happens because I just always play the games based on the games I want to play, and the trophy list kind of comes second to me. So it has just been that case where, like, when I got Far Cry 2, I didn't actually know what I was getting myself into. And with Resident Evil 6, which was kind of the most recent, I didn't think the multiplayer mode would be that dead, or the like the conditions would be that kind of ridiculous, because I just like, oh, I love Resident Evil. I know I want to play 6 at some point just for a fun co-op game. So that's ultimately my opinion. I'm probably rambling, but yeah,
it's a passionate topic, definitely. You reminded me of, you know, when I used to play a lot of Call of Duty back in the day. There used to there used to be like people who would boost headshots and kill death ratio and stuff like that.
That's not even for a trophy, man. You know,
not even for a trophy, exactly.
Saddles,
and they'd be like
saddles,
hiding in the, you know, in the corner of a map, you know, shooting each other and stuff. Oh, it was so annoying, you know, when you saw them, and you love to go over and break it up, you know, like lob a grenade in or something. So like that's, you know, definitely, you know, if there's trophies there that are going to actively make a multiplayer worse, that's a big problem. If they're trophies that are going to go against the kind of a point of the game and make people play a different way that impacts people. I know that's a big problem in anytime there's like a challenge in Destiny or League of Legends. They're two games that I would have played quite a lot that had this as an issue. Sometimes when, you know, there is a challenge or something, it goes against the actual point, the
natural
of the game,
flow of the game. And then that's the developer side, because surely they would recognize, you know, the consequences of such, you know, a trophy requirement or a challenge requirements, you know, separate from a trophy. So then it's like, well, the buck kind of falls back onto the developers in that case. And ultimately, if you put up some kind of barrier in front of people, it's only human nature that some people will find a way around that barrier, be it out of spite, out of enjoyment, out of passion that they want to mount to the challenge. And as you said, the Fall Guys developers were kind of, you know, they were throwing some shade towards people. So eventually they were going to get taken out of their shade and burned, like, you know.
And, you know, it's not like, because there was that whole exploit in Fall Guys as well, where people were quitting out before they got eliminated, and it wouldn't ruin their streak, their 5-win streak. So, you know, that was found very, very, very early on in the game's life cycle. So that particular glitch was there pretty much the whole way through Fall Guys. So it's not as if, you know, a lot of the people who had the trophy before this didn't use some type of exploit as well. You know, there was even people who got their friends in, and then their friends would actively hamper other people in the game to make sure that person won. So there's loads of different ways that people have been trying to exploit this trophy since it came out. This one was just the easiest one to exploit.
I love, you know, sometimes it's the games with really charming, almost childlike visuals that are the biggest bloodbaths, like Mario Kart or like Fall Guys. Like, that is some sinister shit. It's like a team of hitmen going in to quite in a cute fashion take care of people on behalf of their friend, you know, and just seeing them jumping towards the finish line. Like, I don't think, you know, I have too much more to say on it. Like, I think ultimately, you know, whatever you're into, you know, like, the only distinct line is, as I said before, is just as long as it doesn't hamper, you know, a legitimate game online of people just having fun, because you don't want to be the 2 or 3 idiots in the corner, like, you know, standing, taking a turns, you know, shooting each other, doing whatever ridiculous criteria, you know, getting a headshot with a knife. It's like, what does that even mean? You know, so, like, I think that's the only distinctive line I do, and it's like, look, I haven't boosted too much, but the games that I have boosted, I met a lot of really nice people. I'm not. You see, I really do admire people that can like boost something like Far Cry in 3 weeks. I do think I'm, as you said, like I think I've gone down that route a bit more than you. But at the same time, I spread Far Cry 2 out over 5 years. So, like, it was more like a slow determination where it was like I'd meet up and play it for an hour or whatever, every 2 weeks or something ridiculous. But, yeah, I think that everyone should just chill out with the Fall Guys thing. It doesn't really affect anyone, really. And, ultimately, I still think if you get the Platinum, it's still a pretty damn good Platinum to get, in spite of whether or not you boosted the 5 wins. There's still a lot of tough trophies on there, and I don't think it's suddenly going to skyrocket to like a 50% rarity.
No,
because of this.
It'll be ultra rare still. I think. I don't think it's going to go past ultra rare.
Yeah,
still.
It's definitely on the PSN profile side. I don't see it going any higher than like, I would say 7 max. If anything,
I think it's not going to go past
I think it's literally
3.
going to stay 4, maybe 4%. But like, in spite of that, a 7%, sure, Bloodborne's like fucking 19% rarity. It's not as if like,
22 or something.
22, and people still harp on going, that's the greatest Platinum ever. Not like, it's not that difficult. It's, it's all right. Like, so
all the Souls games are like that. They're tough games, but the Platinum is quite. It's quite
a fair Platinum. Like, I know it's a little bit
fair
skewed
one,
because the type of people that play Soulsborne tend to be more skilled players anyway.
Yes,
so it's it's not as
more
if
determined.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, it's 22% of like 100% of obviously slightly more hardcore gamers. Yes, but it's still like I didn't have too much difficulty with Bloodborne, but in spite of that, it's like, look, just everyone just do their own thing, and just enjoy playing games.
I think ultimately all of this is quite arbitrary. If you're in the single player, and the single player requirement is like, the single player requirement is ride your horse around the field for 1,000 miles or whatever.
Or LA, I remember LA Noir, that kind of popped up because I saw it's like the 10th anniversary where you just drive around, or you try to find all the different cars, and there's ridiculous things that developers have asked you to do within the single player.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't see a huge difference in boosting. If the exploit is there, I'm probably going to use it to get the trophies if everyone else is doing it. If everyone else jumps off a trophy bridge, so will I.
Absolutely.
I did have that. I remember when I played Hollow Knight, I was very tempted to leave it at like a 92% because I didn't want to use the cheat for the Platinum. Mm-hmm. But then everyone else was using the cheat for the Platinum, and the Platinum was at like 11% or something.
Dan,
so I was like,
if all your friends were doing drugs, would you do drugs?
No. Presumably I would, probably.
Am I cool now? No, look, so, I just think all of it is ultimately pretty arbitrary, as you said. So I don't think boosting is some kind of great stain on the gaming world, or because it's like a small little corner of the gamer sphere, people that actually are motivated or determined enough to get the trophy, that they're going to go through all the logistics of organizing a group of people. Sometimes it could be 30 people that you need to organize, and I think if you put that kind of effort in, it's like, well, you kind of deserve the trophy.
You deserve it.
You kind of deserve it, like,
event planning, like, it's not easy.
Yeah, with the will there's a way. But anyway, man, so congrats on the Fall Guys Platinum. Long overdue.
I feel so much better about it after this talk.
Yeah, and I feel like a great weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and fair play to everyone helping each other through this. It's like a collective fuck you to the developers for creating such a trophy.
Great camaraderie there. Definitely.
Great camaraderie. Anyway, speaking of camaraderie, man.
Yeah.
Platchums!